All right, Facebook Live family, YouTube, LinkedIn, everybody that's going to see us on all the platforms later. Thanks for watching and joining in. I have my good friend here, Ashley Nicole. Ashley Nicole Shackelford, a.k.a. Ashley Nicole, entrepreneur. She sings. I'm going to show y'all a little piece of her music video when we do the edit.
Right? Yeah, you should. That'll be good.
We're gonna put that out there. She sings. She's done modeling in the past. She's done a lot of wonderful things. I've known her for about maybe 8 years now. She came to New York, 17 years old, from Virginia, just charted a whole new life for herself, graduated from Fordham, and has just been doing the thing since she's been here. And I put on my Facebook, for those of you that are watching, you may have seen the thing. I said, she's a low-key activist now, because every time I get on the phone with her,
definitely,
knowledge, and we're talking about all of the things that are going on. So let's just start off with this. This has been a long time coming, Ash. You know, boy, so what's on your heart? I mean, what's on your heart?
So much. I mean, everything that's going on is, it's a lot. I've been definitely reaching out to my friends, Black men and women that I know, and just simply asking, like, are you okay? Like, how are you doing? Because emotionally, this is a lot. And you'll find yourself having moments where you break down, moments where you cry, moments where you're angry. I mean, with the situation with George Floyd, it hits home for me on many ways. I've dealt with racism at different points in my life, my entire life. So, I look at George Floyd as an uncle, a brother. I have nephews that are young Black men, and it's scary. But I'm also, I was in a sense always hoping that this would happen. I remember talking about that people would rise up, that, you know, I really honestly wanted this after Trayvon. I thought that Trayvon incident was big enough, you know, that we could have came with this energy, but I'm just happy we're here now. I remember talking about this with people not too many months ago, like when Corona just happened, talking about, like, when this moment happens, that I will be ready and that I will be outside. So in terms of just how I'm feeling, many emotions, and the emotions are forever changing, like on a day-to-day, throughout the day. It's a lot.
It is a lot. I mean, and you have your own unique story, and I don't want to, you share what you'd like to share, but being, you know, having different racial backgrounds in your own history, I know this must bring up a lot of different just feelings and sentiments about, you know, what's taking place. You know, I know when we talked originally, I was in the Bronx talking about something that was taking place, a gathering. You were talking about something happening in Harlem. We've always connected over the need for action. You know, a lot of people talk, they talk the talk, but like, at what point is enough enough? And then you mentioned Trayvon. Trayvon was what? Was that that was like 2012.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And it took how many people? Michael Brown, Ahmaud Arbery. I mean, the list goes on and on. I can't even think about, I mean, their names, their faces are in my mind. I can't even list all the names.
And too many. Sandra Bland. I mean, it's been too many.
I forgot. Yeah, down in Texas. Why do you think, it's funny too that you mentioned Sandra Bland, because Malcolm Gladwell, who actually also has a multicultural, multiracial background, wrote the book, Talking to Strangers. And for those who haven't read it, I'd encourage you to read it. And he talks about Sandra Bland in some points. But I want to come to something. His first book was called The Tipping Point. Why do you think this seems to be the tipping point? What happened here that now people said, okay, enough is enough?
That's one of my favorite albums, by the way, by The Roots. Shout out to The Roots for naming the album The Tipping Point. I definitely know that Black Thought read the book, and it's a great one. And it's a great one. Why do I think this was the tipping point? If I look, well, we didn't have Trayvon's murder on video.
Okay.
And I think that this age of technology, it's different when you see it. You know, it because you feel like you're there, and the outrage hits home a lot different. Because I mean, that's human nature, out of sight, out of mind. And now that it's on video, you really get to feel like that's could be your city, could be someone you know, because you're seeing it in real time, or you're seeing it when it just happened. So I think that I have to tell you, it goes right along with the video. It's the imagery, the image of the officer with his knee on George Floyd's neck. Just seeing the still image, something about the image, something about his face, the position, all of it, even to signify that, I mean, their foot has been on our neck for decades, for centuries.
You know,
the picture evokes, so it brought back, even though it wasn't my time, I felt like how my grandmother must have felt. By seeing that image, I could feel how she felt. I could almost feel my ancestor's spirit, the reaction when I saw it. It took me back to a place that I'm not old enough to have been. And I think that that's because the pain is so deep rooted in our culture. So I definitely think it was, you know, thank God for that young woman who recorded it. It was definitely that.
Absolutely. And, you know, I tend to agree with you that I think it was the fact that it was caught on camera, but I think it was a number of things. I think what was caught on camera, because we've seen other shootings. I mean, we've seen many gunned down. We've seen where the police have shot 10, 20, 30 times. You know,
Sean Bell.
Yeah. And I'm even thinking about, I don't know if you recently heard it. Well, I'm sure you did. Nate Reed. And that, you know, I know he was driving away from the police, but the Facebook Live video showed him running. And he's running. And they shot him like 15 times and made a joke about it. Won't be an open casket funeral. You know, I mean, so we've seen it. But like you said, I think the imagery that it evoked, both the fact that it was a slow death, first of all.
Yes.
You know, and the fact that it just went on and on and on. And I also think, for what it's worth, had this happened in 2012, I don't think we'd have this response. You know, that's the tipping point. I think it takes a number of things, unfortunately, to take place. And I think the response made it worse. Not just, you know, because so now they're saying, well, all 4 have been arrested. And I think that's their way of saying, go home, sit down, shut up. But it was too little, too late. And I hope people don't fall for the okie doke that, you know, which happens often, where maybe there is some sort of charge, but they never actually go to justice. You remember Freddie Gray in Baltimore.
Of course. And you know what? His mother comes to mind so much, because I was like, I wonder what she's thinking. Like,
I know.
You know, still, you know, this brings back everyone who has lost someone since Trayvon, even the people who have lost someone to police brutality that we don't know about, that didn't make the news.
That's right.
This George Floyd situation has brought that back up for them. So they are grieving their loved one all over again. Absolutely. In the midst, and probably wishing that this happened when their loved one died. You know, feeling that way too. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Let's kind of shift to solution. You know, you and I always talk a lot about solutions and what can be actually done, just period, about things. And one of the things you said to me that I kind of never forgot, we were talking about music, with particularly your you know, you putting out certain music and some of the things, and we were talking about certain artists that I won't name here, but you said, you know, I have young women that are watching me, and there's some things I just can't do and won't do. So I want to ask, you know, at what point do you feel a personal responsibility to act? I thought that was interesting that you made that comment, because clearly there's a lot of ways you can use your talents. There's a lot of ways you can use your gifts. But you have said, you know, look, there's a line in the sand. There's certain things I just will not do. So where do you feel like personal responsibility comes into play? And can you talk about a time where you felt kind of the conflict between something you thought would benefit you either professionally or even personally, but you just felt like morally, I just can't do it?
To answer the first part of like how do I feel like the personal responsibility, that was instilled in me from an early age. That's key. So it starts at home for sure. Having a mother with a disability who was also an advocate for people with disabilities, I grew up watching her be of service. I grew up also with the understanding that I have a parent that no matter how independent she is, that she needs help. So then I realized at an early age that, you know, there has to be in the people in the community willing to lend a hand. And I truly believe in paying it forward. So I do, you know, commit my time and try to be of service in my community, because I know that in my mom's community, she needs it. So I'm hoping that by me doing what I'm supposed to do as a human being out here, that there's other people who will follow suit, you know, so that they can be that for my mom or the elderly in their community, the people with disabilities in their community, the people who are oppressed in their community, the people who are hungry in their community. So I've always felt that, and it's always been important. Even during the coronavirus, I've made sure to get out there and volunteer and package meals for the elderly, work for the food banks, anything that I could do, because it could be me. I have family members who are in those positions. Like, if you're able-bodied, if you're healthy, it's your personal responsibility. If you don't know that, if you don't understand that, it wasn't instilled in you, but it's still not an excuse. If you're able, you need to help. I've always believed that. In terms of with my career, I'm still kind of like in the embryonic stage, but I also am very aware of who I am. So I haven't been, to my knowledge yet, in a position where I was asked to do anything that was just morally like, no way. But I owe a lot of that to women who have spoken out against sexual harassment in the entertainment industry, because by them being vocal, by them speaking their truth, by them saying, hey, certain things are not okay, they're not acceptable, it's trickled down to artists like myself who are being developed and who are on the rise, who we're not having to deal with as much. So I really owe it to that. I owe for women to not, in entertainment, to have not been silent. So you're not really asked anymore, or men in position of power in entertainment are more hesitant of what they ask and what they require of you to do anything. So
that's interesting. I want to piggyback on that. First, I want to say really quickly, shout out to Miss Shackleford. For those of you that are watching, yeah, that's Ashley's mom. She is a wonderful person. I've had the opportunity to, I don't want to say meet her several times. I've met her before and gotten to know her. She is absolutely wonderful. I had Thanksgiving dinner once. Never forget the apple pies. But I'll send you my address, Miss Shackleford, if you're watching. I'm not, no pressure there. But but look, you said something interesting, because you're talking about, which I like, this sense of, if I've seen further than others, it's because I stand on the shoulders of giants. And I think a lot of times we think of things so individually, but you're kind of saying, look, there were other people who set a standard, and because of that, that's made things easier in some ways for me.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you about, I know when you got into first, because when I first met you, you weren't, you had, obviously there's a lot of things that you were talking about doing, and you've done some of those things and you're in the process of doing them now. But I know when you first told me, particularly entertainment and music, because one thing I think is acting, but things, entertainment and music. And I was like, we had a lot of conversations about that, because, I just feel like, you know, and people go in and they mean well, and they're such good-hearted people, but sometimes it's just the environment. And, you know, what do you say to young women who have a dream? You know, they have a dream to, uh, to well, it's almost like the American dream, to be famous and to be known and to be a Kim Kardashian, so to speak. And I mean that in the best of Kim Kardashian. I'm not saying that negatively at all. But on the way to it, so I want to ask two questions. On the way to their dreams, life happens. And I think no matter who you are, life will happen. What do you say to people who, women in particular, who find themselves on this journey and life happen? Whether it's a relationship, whether it's something that happened professionally, whether it's something that happened personally. What do you say to them to get back up and to remember the dreams that they had and push forward?
I think that, again, for one, I was lucky enough to have a hell of a role model. And so, for one, if you do, you're very lucky, and you kind of can look to that as a source of strength and motivation. My mom, as a single mom, really showed me how to be independent and how to be a boss and how to not rely on anyone else, and determination and how to keep going. And you can have the life you live that you want to live. It's really up to you. So I was really lucky to have that. Now, if you don't, I would say that you have to get those kind of people around you. So that's key. We're not meant to go on this journey ourselves. And even on my strongest days, I still needed something. I still needed someone. I still needed something to submit to. And for me, that was God. So I definitely think that a higher power, having a relationship with God, having a relationship with your elders, women who are older than you, who are wise, doesn't have to be related to you. If you don't have somebody in your immediate family who can be that for you, pray on it, seek it, go to church. There are women there who are God-fearing women who will counsel you, who will give you practical advice. You really can't put a price on someone who's went down the road, and just giving you that firsthand, because we can pray, we can wish, we can hope, but until someone can really come along and give you those practical steps, especially with young people today who need everything like this, if it's not somebody who can really give you those practical steps or tell you how to get out of this and how to do this, how to do that, life can be much difficult than it needs to be. You end up going down roads that you don't need to. That's why it's very important for women, as you advance, to bring up other young girls, give them the knowledge that you have. Like, that's why that's very important. But it's definitely, you have to seek refuge and counsel in women who are older and wiser, who are good in spirit. Don't just talk to your friends, women who are in the same boat as you, same age as you, and even in cases where they may have more than you materialistically, they really don't have more than you to offer from a mental standpoint and just wisdom. So it's definitely that. Without praying and without seeking refuge in my mom and my aunt and people that I had to go to look to, things would have been very difficult. If you don't have it, get those people around you. I'm learning that success, such a huge part of it is habits and who's around you. Who are you talking to every day? Who are you, reaching out to? What are they saying back to you? The wrong people around you can really destroy your life. So if you want the opposite and you want a successful life, start there. Start with who's around you in your immediate circle, and the energy that you're getting from these people and the knowledge that you're getting from these people is very powerful. It can really determine your whole trajectory. So I would say that, it's not as difficult. It's not that difficult. There's really no crazy, like long, like theatrical thing. I can tell you, oh, just keep going. No, the reality is practically get yourself around people who are already where you want to go.
That's good. That's good. And I like how you're talking about, I mean, I'm hearing networks. I gotta shout out your mama. Mama Shackleford is on Facebook Live. She's
Oh, what's up,
saying,
Mom?
you know, love starts at home, which is so true, because I am a living witness of that. Shout out to my own mother.
Absolutely.
I am I was loved at home. So when I got out into the world, I was like, and they said,
Giving that love.
yeah, what I couldn't be. I was like, what you talking about, Willis? Because Mama told me something different. And
yeah.
So
That's right.
So shout out to you, Miss Shackleford, and for giving the world Ashley. And so I have two questions, and then we're gonna do something fun that just popped in my mind.
Okay.
The second thing that you said, which I like, you talked about the God being in your life, and if I could say nicely, I think the role of God has been downplayed. And I also think it's almost been taken out of vogue. It's like, people kind of, God is somewhere in their lives. It's more of like a showpiece. But hearing young people talk about the power of faith in God is not something that I think happens enough. And I'm passionate about that. Can you talk about how the Lord, because we want to be very clear here when we talk about God, we're not just talking about the higher created being, but the Lord has the role of the Lord in your life has helped you to navigate very practically. I see you smiling, all of the things that you've sort of been through and overcome in your time.
Mm.
You had to take a sip on that one.
Yeah, I've been through some things, I'm telling you. And I have been through those things by myself. And the hardest moments of my life, I didn't have my mom there. I didn't have the aunt there, the grandmother, the best friend. So that's when the stakes were really high for me. And I found myself in those times praying harder than I ever had. And then God showed up for me in such a big way. I'm talking miracles. And then it forever would change me, and it would then strengthen my relationship with God. So with that, I'm saying, if you don't believe in the power of God, if you're on the fence about it, if you're fickle, I don't know, if you are struggling with your faith, when you find yourself in those situations that are extremely, extremely difficult, I just want to challenge you to pray harder than you ever have. Because without a doubt, the miracle is going to happen in your life, and then you will forever be changed, and you will share the message. That's like the power of God. That if you believe, if you truly believe, like things will turn in your favor that shouldn't have. Doors will open that were previously closed. Solutions will come out of nowhere. A lot of us are always like, we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. When you have nothing, no idea what to do, that's when you should be praying the absolute hardest. I promise you, it will come to you. Someone will come to you with a practical solution, put a tidbit in your ear to tell you how to do this. Something very small, but it can change your life. It can completely turn a situation around. That's the power of God. So I think people think about it like it's spooky. Like, oh, is God going to say something in my ear? Is some lightning going to strike? That's not what happens. God will send you a very practical solution. It might come in the form of a person. It might be in the form of a message on your TV screen when you needed it the most. It might be in the form of a letter that you received by accident. Like, anything can happen. And that's really the power of God. I'm living proof of that. I've been in situations that there is no logical explanation for how I got out of them the way I did, except for God. So I think with young people now, the rhetoric has changed, and now it's shifted into like everyone's a yogi, everyone is into the universe and manifesting. That's the young person's favorite word now, manifesting.
Manifesting.
It used to be praying, but now it's manifesting.
Manifesting, yeah.
Whatever you think it is, whoever you think that you're talking to, that you're trying to put these things out to, just in the times that you need someone the most and don't have anyone, God is there. It's just literally, it's like a lever in life that your hand is on, and life could be so much easier if you just pull it down when you need to, and a lot of us don't. So
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I will say, put a little caveat in there. People talk about manifesting. Be careful what you out in here manifesting, because you manifest something. I had somebody the other day talking about they wanted to conjure up a spirit. I said, please move far away from me.
Yeah, that's different. No, that's something different.
Bring it up.
Yeah.
So we have a larger problem. All right, second thing, and then I want to go to something different. 17, you leave Virginia, and I know Mama Shackelford is watching, so I want to be careful how I talk about Virginia, but I lived in Virginia, and y'all know I couldn't.
Well, my mom's not from Virginia. She's an East Coast lady.
Pennsylvania, I know, but she's still out there, so I don't want to be.
Yeah. But don't talk about Pittsburgh. I'm talking about the Steelers.
Don't talk about the Steelers. Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah, because that's my mom's favorite team too. She loved it when we saw that on your the flag on which come. But look, you moved to New York from Virginia, not LA, not Miami, to a whole nother world way of doing things, everything. Two questions. I guess I said one, but two questions. What would you say to people, girls or not, women or not, men, boy, whatever, who want to make a leap, but they just don't know how? They're afraid. I mean, let's just be, we all face fear. They're afraid. They're afraid to leave their family. They're afraid to leave their comfort zone. They're afraid to do, to leave what they know. And secondly, what would you say to that I know this is kind of cliche, but I really am interested in with this. What would you say to that 17-year-old girl about advice? Your advice from your older, wiser, more mature self.
I would tell myself, I'll do the second one first, because I would tell my 17-year-old self, watch the company that you keep. Be mindful about who you keep around you. I derailed in life and slowed progress down because of that. So watch the company you keep. I think that I've always struggled with self-confidence. And then that in turn made me be around people who were insecure instead of surrounding myself with winners and people who, like, you know what I'm saying? I would do the opposite. And sometimes I would surround myself with losers. And that was a projection of how I felt about myself. So I would say, I would gas myself a lot more with you're beautiful, you're talented, you're amazing. Listen, don't be afraid to gas yourself. If you don't think that you're the most wonderful person on the earth, then go back to sleep and wake up again. Because every day you need to feel that way about yourself. It starts there, because the better you feel about yourself, I think the better choices that you make. A lot of the choices that we make sometimes are a reflection of a lot of inner conflict, how we feel about ourselves. So I would say that, like, Ashley, you're good, you're great. And if you really want to get to where you are going, you need to keep yourself surrounded with good and great. So it would be that. And then the first question to the person who's young, or I don't care how old you are, because, you could start over at 65. Listen, one of the main things that have been instilled in us minorities is fear. We've been controlled by fear for generations, for centuries. It's kept us in line. It's kept us from growing. It's kept us from developing into our full potential. It held our great-great-great-grandparents back and all the way up until our parents. Some of us are still dealing with it. I think about the young Black boy or girl growing up in poverty and such situations that it's hard to thrive. And a big part on top of that is the constant instilling of fear. We're going through that now. I mean, how do you want to move to another state to pursue any dream if you're afraid to just go to the deli or go to the grocery store and pay for something for $20 and you might not go home? So if you're worried about not making it home, how can you even foresee making a leap to go to a whole nother state and live there? It's fear. It's fear. It's fear that holds us back. Fear has kept us from speaking up in the past. And I don't want to make this a black or white thing, because there's plenty of, white young people who might watch this and wonder how that applies to them. Fear, doesn't see color. You know what I'm saying? So we all have experienced that living in America. That's just something that's been instilled in us. You have to break free of that. Fear has kept me stagnant before, but I don't let it keep me so stagnant for so long. I'm always thinking about progression. I'm always thinking about growth as an individual. That's what life is about. If you're not, I want to spend my entire life learning and growing. Every year there's something about me that's going to be different, even if it just means that my way of thinking has advanced or changed. So it's fear, and I always when I say something, I also want to always give practical advice. So if fear is what is holding you back, I recommend getting yourself into therapy, I recommend, or both, reading. If you really want to expand your mind and your way of thinking, and you don't have people around you to give you those jewels that you need, read. The right book will change your life. Just like the right person. So I've gotten courage to do things by people in my life, but I've also received that from the written word, the Bible, and I've also received that from a book. I've had many aha moments by reading books. So I definitely would give that advice. Get yourself into reading more, and get yourself into therapy to combat fear and anxiety. Those are the number two things that keep people stagnant in life: fear and anxiety. Deal with that.
Absolutely.
And I'll even swing it back to what I said earlier about mentorship. The right people in your life will push you and also give you practical advice on how to get from A to B, because it's easy for me to say, okay, now that you have the confidence to do it, how do you do it? So somebody like me, I can tell my nephews who are in Virginia, if they may want to make a move, I can tell them how to do it, because I've done it, and I've done it with little resources. So yeah, if you want to make a move in your life, I would definitely, that's my advice.
I appreciate you saying that. And one of the things that I really like that you said, I mean, well, one, you talk about fear. It's not just fear as in a feeling, it's the spirit of fear. We know that. And that affects people in general, and even more specifically because of everything happening and everything going on. It is a spirit of fear that is seeking to destroy, to take from you, to kill your dreams, to keep you stuck in a place where you should have been left out of, to sap the life out of you. But something else you said that I really liked is that, and I appreciate you, being vulnerable to share this, that you say, look, I've had some insecurities, and because of that, I've attracted, whether it be friends or whatever, connections into my life that were not winning connections. And I think that's important for people to hear, but especially for young girls to hear, because I know people see you and they see the exterior. And we have a tendency to see people on the outside. And just because someone is physically looks, is beautiful on the outside, we tend to think, what could they really be going through? And even if we don't think that, it's a feeling of, how can I relate to them? Because yeah, she might have insecurities, but I really have insecurities. But I like that you're saying that, because at the end of the day, an insecurity is an insecurity. And, no matter who you are, we all have things that we're working against that are keeping us from living our best life. And so I really want young women to hear this, because I think, so I'm 34 now. When now I'm going to sound like I'm a grandpa, but I'm going to say it anyway. When I was growing up, I mean, really, it was bad, but it wasn't this bad. You know, Instagram and social media everything's Photoshop. These people are not real, y'all. Can I just say this to young women? I mean, yes, the people are real, but nobody is that perfect all the time. And so what it does is it creates this false sense for young girls to think that they have to live by a standard that is totally and completely unattainable. Some of these people that you follow on Instagram, and I follow them too, if you were to see them in person, I know Beyonce says she woke up like that, but nobody wakes up like that, okay? Not with all the hair and the makeup and everything just right. Come on, you know? So I want my young women to hear this, to not allow the enemy, because that's what it is, to steal your sense of self-worth because you're trying to be something that, one, you weren't created to be, and that nobody is. You know, so thanks for sharing that. I want to ask you, so I wrote these down. I'm going to name 5 people, all right? When I'm going to name each one. Don't think too long. I want you to give me the first. We can talk about it later.
Okay.
I want you to give me the first word that comes to mind.
Okay.
All right? Ready?
Yeah.
Michelle Obama.
Inspiring.
Kim Kardashian.
A joke.
That was 2 words, but we'll get to that. Madam C.J. Walker.
A boss.
Cardi B.
Funny.
Missy Elliott.
Legendary.
Okay. So, all right, let's go back through these real quick. Why'd you say that Kim was a joke? Because I'm gonna tell you, I slightly disagree, but I want to hear your thoughts on this. What Kim do to you? No,
I didn't say that to mean like that. I don't take her seriously. I guess I really don't take her that seriously. I think that as someone who has, watched her show and just heard certain things that her and her sisters say, I just think that they're not in touch with reality that much. So when I say that she's a joke, I'm saying that she's not really that much in touch with reality in many ways, but I mean, she's a product of her upbringing. She's what I expect from growing up the way that she did. But when you grow up like that, you really have to work extra hard to be down to earth, but some people don't bother. Not saying that she's not a nice person. I don't doubt she's a nice person, but I think shouldn't even admit there's a superficiality there.
Well, I mean, and I think, of course, but I think like anything else, don't hate the player, hate the game, because it's all of that. A lot of that stuff is just, it's a world, you start getting into the world of reality television. But I'm going to tell you why, and then we could talk about it more in depth if you like. Each of these 5 women, to me, there's an aspect in them that reminds me of you. And I'm going to say what it is.
No, I could see that. Go ahead.
So I'll start with Kim. The thing that I like about Kim is the ability to reinvent herself. I will be honest, I really didn't take her seriously until I was like, this lady really went to law school. I mean, she didn't have to. I mean, a lot of people that go to law school, even though they're passionate, they kind of need a little bit of money too. So she definitely is not doing it for money. I mean, I can't say that, but I would think. I mean, I don't think she's hurting for a check. I thought it was interesting for her to step back, for her to be a mother. If you notice, as a mother, I feel like you hear less of her. And she seems to be focused on really being a mother and not just making those showpieces to herself. But that going to school and being serious about something and really looking to unleash that passion, that's something that I liked. And that's something that I noticed about you, the ability to reinvent yourself.
For sure.
Regardless of the circumstance or what might be happening. Madam C.J. Walker, that independence. I mean, that's definitely you. I mean,
yeah.
For better or for worse. For those did you see the Netflix on her?
I definitely want to recommend all young women to watch that. There is some jewels in that.
There were.
There's a lot of things to take away from that.
But for better or worse, like I said, because it worked for her in some ways, but in other ways it didn't. And I think for better or for worse, you were definitely independent. You know, you're one of the people that I can definitely say in my life that I don't wonder, well, COVID hit. What is she going to do for work? I know you'll always be straight.
Everybody says that about
No, really. And that's not something I can say about a lot of people, but I know you'll always be straight because you have that ability to do that. Cardi B, I think doing more with less. I mean, we're focusing on the positive traits now. I mean, for people that are watching it later, don't try to fact check me. It's what that is. I'm not, Cardi B, I like the fact that she took one platform and turned it into something much bigger.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think you're good with that, taking small pieces and the ability to do more with that. Missy Elliott, all right. I mean, Missy is a door opener,
Yeah.
And one of the things that I appreciate about you is that I've seen that there are certain decisions that you're making as you think about the people in your family. I know your nephew and some of the people that you've talked to me about over the years. Everybody doesn't think that way. A lot of people only think individually.
Yeah.
And so because of that, they really don't capture, I think, the goodness and the greatness of really what's on the inside of them. And lastly, Michelle Obama, because who doesn't want to be compared?
Girl, who don't want to be Michelle?
You want to see yourself in Michelle.
Listen, that's a hell of a lady.
Yeah.
Okay.
Michelle's deep. Michelle's deep. I mean, with no Michelle, there wouldn't have been a Barack Obama.
That is a fact. I remember, I'll never forget you talking about how, she was just as qualified, just as smart, just as educated, and she definitely took a back seat to let him, live out his dream. That's a strength, because you've gone to a Ivy League school. It's no walk in the park. She really worked hard.
She did.
So.
And Michelle is authentically Black. Michelle don't play that. Like, when stuff went down with the riots and all that, I know Barack is more, peace. He's more Martin than Malcolm, Yeah. But Michelle be in the back, I guarantee you, because, he talked out about this recently, yesterday. I guarantee you Michelle was like, look, if you don't say something, I'm going to say something, because this don't make no daggone sense.
Absolutely.
So I like that about her, and that kind of reminds me of you standing for something. Now, everybody doesn't stand for something, and everybody's not passionate about things that matter, because yes, I think there's a level of superficiality whenever you deal in social media or all of that. But I think that there's something to be said about people who are able to still live with passion and to live with purpose.
Definitely.
So I know we're kind of coming to the end, is there anything that you would just, that's on your heart to share? I know, we started with George Floyd and the situation there, but this has been a long time coming. You and I spoke at a school like 2012. So
yes,
we've done.
I feel like we should definitely end on speaking to our people, Black men in particular, too. I'm gonna say this because I spoke to people, and I've shared this on my IG stories, and I've seen other women share my sentiments on a couple of things. One, listen, I know nobody knows the pain of a Black man more than the Black woman. The Black man has the Black woman, in his corner always. And the question is, who has the Black woman? Malcolm said, we are the most neglected people in society, and that's true, and the most underprotected, underserved in society, and that's true because we get it from white women, white men and Black men, unfortunately. It's the reality. And I don't want to take away from the movement in front of the main stage to talk about our personal issues as Black people, because this is not the time for us to work through it. But as Black men, I just hope that now and moving forward that we start to uplift and protect the Black woman a lot more, because I'm out there and I'm hearing the pain, and I know that a lot of the pain that the Black woman feels when she's crying out and she's speaking up and supporting the Black man is also because we feel so under-supported and not protected. So we out here fighting and using our voices to be heard, but it's also a pain that we feel from not receiving the kind of love and care that we need from the Black man. Black men, you have a responsibility. Black women belong to you. The Black women in your family, uplift and protect them. The Black women in your life, uplift and protect them. They need it. We need it. It's important. So yeah, I definitely wanted to say that. It's definitely been out there and it's been spoken about, and I'm happy for that. I'm happy to see it. I also definitely, I just can't not say it. I've always been disappointed in the racial tension and racism between minorities. And it's something that I have experienced a lot more living in New York. It's a bigger thing here. I'm very disgusted to see the videos and a lot of things that Latinos are saying and doing in response to these protests and these riots. I mean, if we're honest, it hasn't been safe for a Black person to go to East LA for decades because the Latino gangs in those territories will most definitely kill a Black man or Black woman for being in those areas. You can go right to the Bronx, you can go to uptown Manhattan and experience racism from the Latin community. And it's unfortunate, it's sad, it needs to be addressed. I'm very glad that more Black people, especially Black men, are becoming aware of it. Because a lot of them date these women without the knowledge that they have racist fathers and grandfathers. And this might be way, way off topic, but these are the issues that are coming to light now. And I'm speaking on them because I'm aware of them. I've been aware of them. And there's the thing with the George Floyd, there's so many different agendas. There's so many different things on people's minds when they're at these riots. I'm telling you right now what they are. You know, there's people in the crowd who are upset about being mistreated by Black men and white women. There's women in the crowds like that. There's men and women in the crowds who are tired of being mistreated by white people and Latin people in their community. Like, these are the issues that are coming to light and that we've been dealing with. We're tired of dealing with them. Me, myself, I don't experience too much because I'm often looked at as a Latin woman and not a Black woman. But I've been present when Latin women have been discriminatory against Black women. So, and I'm not one to ever stand for that as a proud Black woman. So those are just the two things that I just wanted to bring to light and wanted to speak on, that I'm passionate about and that I will continue to speak about, you know, well after these riots are over, because they're important. They're very, very important issues that need to be addressed in our community. I will still be protesting in New York City this weekend.
Because they have more scheduled?
There's more scheduled. So I will be out there.
Don't be throwing no Molotov cocktail, because I heard that's what some of them out there throwing the Molotovs.
Yeah, two white females who from the Catskills. For those who are not familiar with the Catskills, people from the Catskills you rarely will see, in New York City unless, they're there to maybe shop. But it's far enough away that it's a trip. And yeah, I just hope we're vigilant. We really need to be praying for discernment because there's so many people who are in the mix who are not with us. I can't speak for these two women. I don't really know what their motivations are. I don't know what's in their heart, but I will say that there are people on the front lines who are not with us and who are there just to enrage, who are there to provoke, who are there to just be opportunists. Please be vigilant and aware of that.
That's right. That's right.
It's important because there's people who are in the mix, there to distract, there to cause an uproar. For sure, that's happening. Understand that that's happening.
Yeah, it definitely is happening. And, you said a lot at the end, and I won't even address most of it because I think that there are definitely a lot of issues that come to bear. I think there's been a lot of misinformation. When you start talking about, and I always try.
There now, we're not burning down any buildings in New York. Okay, I've heard many people say that we're burning things down. That's not true.
That's not true at all.
And a lot of Black people are vocal about, we don't even have a history of arson. That's not really the MO. And I know that can be, of course, I'm not saying a Black person can't start a fire. Let's, for those who are going to take that out of context. But, of course, I know they can. I'm just saying it's not the norm.
No, it's definitely not. I think that's clear. But you bring up a lot of good points, even as far as race relations between people of color and how that's been skewed, how a lot of people, and I'll say this nicely, they don't know who they are, so they project that onto others. Because when you don't know who you are, it's easy to, because I've been in situations definitely in New York where I'm thinking, but do you know who you are? But that's I don't even want to touch that because that's for another time. But one of the things you said when you talked about Black women, and you're absolutely right. I think that as men, we've got to do a better job at protecting women in general. We've just got to do a better job because we haven't. And I think that the role of certain music, it has been used. Now the people singing it are not the only, ones at fault here. I don't mean to say that, but it has been used certainly as a tool to demean. And I'll share this personal story so people don't get so upset, because I know some people say, well, that's not fair to say, they're just trying to make it out of, their situation and make money. But I'll share this one story. I never thought ever of music as being demeaning to women, because as far as I was concerned, you get paid to be on a video shoot. If you want to shake your butt, you shake your butt. I just never thought that deeply about it until I went to Germany. And the first time I went to Germany, and I remember we're all sitting around the table, not around the table, sitting on the couches, and it was me. I'm trying to remember. Let me get this right. This was the second time I went to Germany because my buddy was Black that was with me. And it was 5 other German people there, tall, blonde, German. I don't mean just, I mean German by blood, all that.
Yeah.
And they're watching BET Uncut. And it's this one video that comes on, and this, woman is, dancing and doing all this stuff. And the things that they were saying about the woman, and they weren't saying overtly nasty things, but it was just like the way they were describing her. It was the first time I ever felt differently about music. And I never saw it the same after that. Because it was one thing I think it's almost like the N word, when people say people shouldn't say it that are black. Yeah, I get it. But it rings different when you hear someone else. And I think that was the case when I saw BET Uncut in another country and hearing other people and the comments that they were making. And I'm sitting here thinking, this could be my sister. This could be my mother. And the things that they were saying, and again, not overtly like, oh, I want to do this, this, and that, but just like describing her body almost as an object. That's when I begin to realize, okay, this is a tool. And so you're right, we've got to do better. And I think we need to rise to that challenge. And so, you know, I appreciate you being on. I want us to do this more often. You know, nothing more than a few months from now, let's do this again. And I think you never got to say your meal prep. Tell them about that.
Oh, yes. So my personal Instagram page, which you can follow, is Real Cash Lee at Real Cash Lee. I was about to give you my email. You can hit me there too, realcashlee@gmail if you want to send me some beats.
Cash Lee, not Cash App, because you know people.
Yeah, it's CASHLEE, Real, spelled like real, REAL.
We're gonna drop the link.
Yes, and then also follow my meal prep page. I'm a small business owner. We do meal prep and meal plans, servicing all of New York City. So if you're ready to change your life, you want to lose weight, you're competing for fitness, maybe you are a person living with diabetes or whatever the case may be, we can service your needs. So that Instagram is Meal Prep University. So be sure to follow. We have all the pics of the food and things that we offer, and pricing and how it works is all available on the page. So check it out.
That's what I'm talking about. That's Ashley Nicole, y'all. You'll see the links. The links are right at the bottom. Please subscribe, like, share this. Send this to somebody that you know needs this. It doesn't have to be a young woman, but someone that you know is struggling. One, they're stuck. They don't know the next move. Two, they don't know how to reposition. Three, they're dealing with insecurity. Four, they're looking around and there's gripped by a spirit of fear. Ashley uncovered all those things. And if you're looking for wisdom, if you're looking for someone to help give you some level of advisement, reach out to Ashley, really, because
I'll respond for sure.
She has a lot of wisdom, and it's wisdom like many of us have gained wisdom. It's wisdom through experience. I'm not talking about something you learned in a book. Through experience. Why go through what somebody else has been through when they can show you how to not go through it?
Hov did that, so you don't have to go through that.
Say that again.
There's Jay-Z's famous line, Hov did that, so you don't have to go through that.
I like that. I like that. I never heard that. Hov did that, so you don't have to go through that. Okay, guys, you take it easy. So thank you for joining on. Again, Ashley, make sure you follow her business. If you're looking for meal prep plans, make sure you look out for support businesses that are out here doing the right thing and that are uplifting the community. And if you're trying to get in shape, and let's keep it real, it's a lot of our people. I know even can I just say this? Even in the church community, people talk about the devil is coming after your health. No, that fried chicken. That's what it is. It ain't have nothing to do with the devil. You got to change the way you eat. Maybe one day.
Yes, we need to just go over that. Listen, I'll leave on this, I live by this. Be at full strength when walking through the valley. Like, especially now in this time of be at full strength. You know, health is wealth. It's the most important thing, most precious thing we have. Black people, we need to get it together in terms of that.
Get it together. And maybe one time, the next time you want to hear, we'll just talk about health, things that people need to do to change the way they eat, because that's another thing that's killing our people.
Tupac said it. We need to change the way we eat, change the way we live, and change the way we treat each other. Tupac Shakur, that's right.
Shout out to Tupac. Y'all know he from Baltimore, you know, my hometown. So I'll end on that note.
/ Brooklyn / LA. Like, you know,
I'm gonna stick with
everybody shares him.
We're not gonna do that because Baltimore is where he went to art school. So we're gonna stick with Baltimore. Anyway, y'all, this is Ashley Nicole. Make sure you follow her. I'm Darrell Bennett. You know, as I end every broadcast, no matter what you've been through in life, no matter what has happened, no matter how bad it looks, we are both living witnesses. You can. There you go. Come back swinging. Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.